stretch a mile. You better let him run till he quits. Fighting like Moby Dick, pull him up, wait for the kiss. Show me your fish, better show me your fish, show me your fish.
This is Sport Fishing Championship.
And this is the final day of the biggest event in sport fishing, the 50th annual White Marlin Open. 400 teams signed up, and there's a ton of them out on the water as we speak. They still have about another 30 minutes of fishing to go, but there are some boats heading back with big fish that could pay out millions of dollars, Peter Miller.
You know, some of these tournaments, there's only 20, 30, 40, 50 boats. When you talk about 400 boats, that's like an exponential number of anglers on these boats. We're talking 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 anglers and captains.
Most of them hanging on to this final day. 357 boats out here, including Catch 23, and Michael Jordan is here. A lot of people say, where's MJ? Where's MJ? He's doing pretty darn good. He's better than most. 112th place out of 400 boats, and there he is, the man himself, his airness. But we're talking about big fish. Very lit fish. We're looking for White Marlin in this White Marlin Open.
We sure are, and that is a beautiful specimen right there. We've got those beautiful lit stripes on that fish, paddling away, looking very, very healthy. I believe that's from T0. That is a nice fish there. They're going to release it, let it go, and get that 125 points.
It was cool. You're seeing that fish lit up and all the way down its back, and these guys have been lighting it up throughout the week here at Ocean City, Maryland. The world's largest and richest bill fishing tournament, and as it stands right now, unofficially, Taylor Jean in the lead. That's because we have their catch reports. 1975. They've been doing some business this morning. Trash Panda out there fishing on this final day as well. They don't have to report, but when we've got a cameraman on board, we know exactly what Taylor Jean has.
I'll tell you what, Robbie, you know, Taylor Jean, what they've been doing today is they've been catching some White Marlin, and they are the jump man. Just like Michael Jordan, you saw him in it. They're doing a big jump in the standings to first place, and they're sitting pretty right now.
So much money, $10.5 million up for grabs in total, but really that one fish could make the difference. I mean, there's several different categories they have to buy into. There's one thing where they pitch in $50,000 and it's a winner-take-all. That's over $1 million just from that one category alone.
That is a saucy bet, Robbie. I don't think I'd be able to do that bet at any time soon, maybe in my lifetime. But across the board, if you get in there, somebody may have a tuna first, second, third place. You're the fourth place tuna, but they didn't get in any bet. You could possibly win $1.2 million and have a fourth or fifth place tuna. There are so many categories, it's unbelievable.
Let's take a look at the catch card as it stands right now. We're coming into this day with maybe a few of ours mixed in there as well, because the White Marlin, extremely plentiful. 430. The blues, sails, there's even a spearfish in the mix. So I'm glad to see 4 of our billfish categories.
A little bit of everything right there. 470 billfish caught and released. You know, we got 3 days of fishing, Robbie. 3 out of 5, you pick your days to lay, and these guys did a great job at picking them because we had some nasty weather on 2 of those days, and most boats laid on those days.
I saw there was no qualifier for a swordfish. That's the only one of our 5 billfish that we don't have a count for. But looking
Ain't nobody
at
got time for a swordfish right now.
Nobody got time for that. Looking at where these anglers are, they're restricted to 100 miles. They can't even peek over on the other side, and these are generalizations of where they are fishing. But again, from north to south, looks like Polarizer more on the upper end. Trash Man down on the lower end. Where is that magic going to happen?
Well, we know Trash Man's caught a bunch. We know Rochambeau's caught a bunch, and they're actually on a fish. We'll talk about that in a little. But, you know, 5 days of fishing, August 7th through 11th. That's the rules of the game.
It's the final day, and for the most part, the majority of anglers went out on day 1, day 3, and waited till day 5. Day 2, there were 22 boats out, and there were 60 on Thursday yesterday. But again, you pick which days you want to fish. Yesterday, weather was bad. You didn't see many teams go out, but we did see some teams catch a fish. It was pretty impressive. Billfish, wahoo, mahi-mahi, some of the subspecies we're talking about, we typically call them our championship fish.
You know, the guys that did go out yesterday, I believe there was a nice blue marlin caught and released, and then there were a couple of big eye tuna that came in that are now in the top of the standings in the tuna division in second and third place, respectively.
And that could make a difference. And the one thing we haven't talked about is if a fish is not being brought in, it will be down to the tuna possibly winning that big money. But this is earlier today. Again, we have our featured teams. Taylor Jean was in third place coming into this day, but they wouldn't stay there for very long.
There they are hooked up. And this is coming through live off the Starlink satellites right to our platform.
And this was earlier this morning, but yeah, everything you're seeing is from today's catches. And again, everybody has the opportunity to send us their video. We have our own cameraman on board the Taylor Jean. I believe Tommy's our cameraman.
We saw them come by the other day, and they had 6 flags flying, and they got a standing ovation at the cut here when they were coming in. There were a lot of boats with no flags, maybe with 1 flag, but they came in with 6. That was substantial, and that really helped catapult them to the top of the leaderboard.
It's going to be a white one, I'm going to say.
Again, it was this morning. You couldn't even have your lines in the water till 8 o'clock. This was right around 8:10 in the morning. So, I mean, really early. You can't have your omnidirectional equipment on either up until that 8 o'clock hour. If you're going for tuna, you can't chum or whatever, you know, till 8 o'clock.
Yeah, Chris.
You got to follow the rules in these tournaments, Robbie, because if you win some money in the big ones, you are definitely going to be polygraphed and checked, and it's a good thing. It makes everybody feel comfortable, and they know they're playing on a level, even playing field.
Got to keep them honest. This isn't like those walleye tournaments we've been seeing as of late. This is big money, big time pressure for these guys out on the water.
It's a big white.
Reaching.
So you hear a white. If it's a big white, it's got to be what, 70 inches? And then once it comes, it needs on shore, it needs to be at least 70 inches and 70 pounds.
70 pounds, right. The measurement's got to be 70 inches because you're not going to weigh that fish on the boat. So they will measure with a measuring tape, get that 70-inch from lower jaw to fork in the tail. And then when they weigh it, hopefully it is 70. It should be at that rate.
So get the lure. Back out. That's a catch that's released, and in the Sport Fishing Championship, that white marlin's worth 125 points. Trash man, that's a lot of trash. I mean, that dollar bills. You could fill up that whole trash truck with dollar bills and still have need another trash truck.
Robbie, as I said earlier, the trash man is cleaning up. That's his job, and that's what he's doing. They're in second place now. They were sitting in first, and they are fishing the canyons. You know, they're down there by Baltimore, Wilmington, Spencer, Poor Man's. They're down in that area. Obviously, the Washington Canyon, close to it. They're doing a great job. They've caught a bunch of fish. They started off with a bang.
And this is looking like some of their camera footage.
Nice blue right there. You give us your well, that's a really nice blue, Robbie. If you give us your vertical footage, we'll take it.
It's always better to go sideways. You can always make it go vertical for the sideways stuff.
Well, today's day and age, Robbie, and social media, everyone's going vertical. Vertical's become the thing. But for us on TV, we love that horizontal. And after this shoot, I'm going to be horizontal.
Oh my gosh, can we pass out?
I don't think.
Yeah, I heard somebody talking the other day. The social media, gurus were saying you can still always go sideways and convert it. That way you're working for both sides, and we're seeing that here. But thanks to Trash Man for giving us their video without, things like that. It makes it more difficult. We have our cameraman on the boats, but Peter, I mean, we don't have 400 cameras and 400 Starlinks to do this at one time.
And some people, they don't know the cameraman situation. They don't know if they're giving away secrets. They don't feel comfortable. But once they've had our cameraman on the boat, they're feeling great about it. The cameramen are cool. They're all fishermen. They're all outdoorsmen, and they're going to put these guys on CBS Sports National TV. Great way to gain partnerships for these teams. They can get some sponsorships. It's a win-win situation. So I highly encourage any team in the future that wants to get on TV, just send us your footage while we're filming it. We will be glad to put it on.
Again, we're looking at this vertically. We've got the map over to the right. That's not an exact location of where they are. We're just showing you the general area where they are. These are big, vast areas, but you're seeing big jumps out of these fish. There have been big fish we've seen caught, just not quite big enough. That blue's got to be 114 to measure.
That blue is big. It was definitely in the 400-pound class. Not quite that 550 where, when you get to 114, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at that 550 plus. But here's a nice white marlin in the spread right after that blue. This is on day one for the Trash Man doing some work. They're batting cleanup.
Good job, guys.
Good job, team. Good job, Brian.
Good job, boys. 3 blue marlins, 7 whites would give them their 1,925 points for Team Trash Man. Again, unofficially in second. And the reason we're saying that is we don't know what today's catches are until they come back to shore. They hand off their catch card. We saw it. I mean, it all happens in a flurry. And if you get a big fish, they're not going to worry about these catch and release points. They're going to be flying in here with the big one to make sure they get back in time. So we hope to see, possible big fish come across the scales while we're on air on CBS Sports at the top of the hour.
We always talk about that, Robbie, how when you have a big fish in the boat, you want to get in early and make sure, especially if you have a lot of fish, you want to make sure you check in early. But let's take a look at Team Polarizer right there on the boundary, inside the boundary, and they're working on a fish.
Looks like Greg, doesn't it?
I can't tell. Everyone's got their hoods up, protecting themselves from the UV rays.
Yeah, I think
you
it's
gotta
Greg
love
Robinson.
These Salt Life shirts these guys are wearing with their logos on them. I'm going to have to get, Robbie, I think we're going to have to get a couple of those. I don't think that is Greg.
You know?
No.
It's either Greg or Mikey Fitz.
It's Mikey Fitz.
Mike Fitzpatrick.
They're making that turn. They're making that turn. It's definitely Mike Fitzpatrick trying to always close that gap. The shorter the fish, shorter amount of time the fish is on the line, the better chance you have of getting that release. Anything can happen. A tail wrap, it can chafe the leader, something can come up and eat it, God forbid, but that does happen. So they're doing what they're doing. They're still bumping ahead, and then eventually they're going to back it on down to White Marlin Town.
It's official now. Mikey Fitz. Polarizer, we've seen them. We've seen several Vikings. Actually, Rochambeau, I believe. You'll see George Robinson fishing on that boat. I mean, or Taylor Jean. I think it's Taylor Jean. I think that he fishes on that boat sometimes.
We're getting to really know a lot of these teams, and we've had dinner with a bunch of them. Everywhere we go, we meet somebody at the dock, and they're showing us their fish next to Clayton Anderson, and they're talking about their techniques and their catches, and we've learned a lot. And it's a great camaraderie these guys have. It's a family affair on this boat for sure. With George, the dad, right there in the back end. They're on their Viking. Fitzpatrick working on the fish. You got Greg in the foreground there with the dark hat, doing work, cleaning up, getting ready to redeploy as soon as they get this release.
And I just looked at it. It is a Taylor Jean. They're based out of New Jersey and South Jersey Yacht Sales. That's where we know George Robinson from, and that's actually, I think, who he fished with at Jimmy Johnson was Taylor Jean on that off week.
Atlantic City, right.
He probably knows a thing or two about what they're doing.
All these guys know a lot, when you fish tournaments for, especially a guy like George who's been fishing forever, he imparts all his wisdom, all his knowledge on the younger guys, and they run with it, and then they expound upon it, and they increase their wealth of knowledge, just by getting out there. You need time on the water, and that's what they do. Some of these guys are fishing 10, 15 tournaments a year.
We've seen Mike boat up on this fish for a while. He was reeling in, even though while they were pulling forward, they stopped now, and now it looks like she's down and dirty. You see a little head waggle every so often. You see that rod tip moving?
You got to wiggle it just a little bit, Robbie.
Just a little bit.
Hood's off. It's got to get some airflow through the ear canals. It's amazing how each fish has their own fingerprint, their own strength, their own, angry nature or not. But this fish right here is pretty tough on the leader, huh? But they definitely got the leader. They have the leader touch.
That'd be a qualified.
Whatever it is, it counts.
Yeah, that's qualified. But it can do a run now, and it's okay. But they want to get it to there and see what size it is.
Yep.
Whether it's a white or blue, again, they're a white marlin. If it's a 70-incher, they can bring it back, and that could be a $4 to $5 million fish.
And you'll see what they're doing differently here. Instead of taking wraps, it's more like called finger tipping, but it's a little power finger tipping right here. He's kind of really clenching down on it, but he's not taking full wraps. That looked like a wrap. He's about had it with this fish. He said, listen, you've been on camera already. Oh, it's a fish they want to keep. It must be a tuna.
Yep.
Most likely a big eye based on what was happening right there.
That is a nice one. That might be worth some extra coin. There's also daily money as well.
I tell you, Robbie, 2 gaps in a fish. That fish is going 150.
Okay, that could be at worst possibly a daily winner today. There's fish coming in. There's boats coming in as we speak. Unofficially right now, Taylor Jean in the lead. They were third when we started today. We still don't know what the rest of the field is up to. Hopefully, we'll find out here in a bit.
SFC coverage of the White Marlin Open from Ocean City, Maryland is sponsored by Visit South Padre Island, Total Home Performance, Denison Yachting, and by Salt Life.
When it comes to performance, comfort, and functionality, we've got you covered. Performance apparel designed by anglers to make your time on the water better than ever. Salt Life, the official apparel sponsor of the Sport Fishing Championship.
Whether you like to ride the wind, find your secret cove, or reel them in. Plot your paradise with GPS Map Series from Garmin.
This summer, take a break with the family and visit the best beach in Texas. You're not building just a sandcastle. You're building memories. South Padre Island is the perfect place for fun in the sun. Book your summer getaway today. Visit SoPadre.com.
When you're serious, you are as excited to wake up for a 4 a.m. fishing trip as you were when you were a kid. It means winning 3 World Sailfish Championships. It means you know what you need and what you don't. Being serious means seeking out the ultimate fishing machine, which is what Peter Miller has found in the unmatched handling, speed, and comfort of an Invincible.
Pine tar, bay rum, all natural, all natural.
It's time for your old soap to take a
hike with Dr. Squatch, the best natural men's soap, deodorant, shampoo, and so much more.
Dr. Squatch is for players like Justin Herbert, who are here to shake things up, who break records and hearts, who are tough on the outside and soft on the skin side, who only use natural performance enhancement and want their end zone to be fresh.
Go to drsquatch.com today. Feel like a man, smell like a champion.
Are you ready for the ultimate luxury fishing experience? Join the Sport Fishing Championship talent on the SFC Experience, where you'll explore incredible fisheries and enjoy world-class hospitality from diverse cultures and SFC partner locations. With the SFC Experience, you'll create unforgettable memories with friends, families, or colleagues. Book your trip today and embark on the adventure of a lifetime with the SFC Experience.
SFC coverage of the White Marlin Open from Ocean City, Maryland is sponsored by BioLite, Mercury Marine, Durabright, and by Hop Water, a non-alcoholic sparkling hopped water.
I could use some of that right now. It's about, what, low 80s right now here at Ocean City,
81
Maryland?
degrees, Robbie, and we've got a light 8 to 10 knot wind. It's feeling good. It's feeling really good out here.
There's the inlet. We're just to the left there where they call it Marlin Fest. There's been thousands of people coming through this area. We've seen rain come through this area, but they're coming out today, and they'll also make their way to the Harbor Island Marina, and we will see some fish being weighed in hopefully today, because we hear there's at least one blue marlin coming in, but this is the White Marlin Open. So if there's a White Marlin Open qualifier, that could be your champion. But it's got to be at least 70 inches, 70 pounds. It's the final day. It came down to the final day last year. And normally we're talking about Sport Fishing Championship and, yes, catch and release. But for here, it's one fish that could make you a legend of a lifetime.
You could be a fish of a lifetime. It will fill your bank account. Your bankers would be like, what do you do for a living? And you'd be like, don't worry about it. I catch white marlin. Listen, these guys, there's 4,000 anglers out there vying for that first place white marlin. No one has caught one yet. Today's the last day of the tournament. We've had 5 days of fishing. We're here in the White Marlin Open. This is where it's at, guys. This is huge. They've given out $1.5 million in this tournament over the years. It started in 1974. We're at the 50th anniversary, Robbie.
I'm going to add more than that. They've almost given away $100 million over this tournament for the past since 1974. It's even higher than that. It's stupid, the numbers that we're talking about. Last year, Peter, $4.5 million for one fish. This year, we know our total numbers are up more, and we're looking at weights that are up more. 247.5, though, that's our leader in the tuna category, and that's exactly the number that it took to win last year.
That's right. You know, these fish are big. These big eyes fish. I mean, look at the size of this big eye coming in.
That's
you hear George on his boat talking about a tuna fish. It always makes me think about bumblebee tuna. Guys, if you could have this tuna, I tell you what, you probably never eat bumblebee again. This is the good. This is what you want. This is the tasty one. The big eye tuna is absolutely delicious. These guys are hanging it there at the scale, at the weigh-in. It is a spectacle, Robbie. This is what tournaments strive for, to get to this level. I've never been to a tournament this big.
Yeah, the WhiteMarlinOpen.com. You can watch the live webcam on it as well. We're able to jump in. We'd like to thank, because this is a new partnership with the Sport Fishing Championship. You and I were watching this. The fans were watching this from the beach just over to our right now, and they get to see it all go down. You can only fit so many people in that marina, but it is a sight to behold.
It really is. And, you know, it's amazing how one fish, this fish was 247.5. And it's amazing how excited these guys can get, Team Fish Lick, over a fish like this, because the next fish that comes in looks exactly like it, but it's 20 pounds lighter. So it's like, you know, it's kind of a crapshoot. You really don't know. But, you know, they're throwing up the shaka bras. They're throwing up the whatever.
Chris.
What do you want to call those?
It's a shaka. Chris with a catch. Second place right now, game over with a 221, and I think in the 2-teen range, Rochambeau, one of our featured teams. That we have. 215. And again, that was yesterday in bad conditions. You say, why do you go out in the tough conditions? There's the reason. Right now, we're going to go out live to Rochambeau, see what they are up to. They hook up at 8:30 this morning. This is a good story here, Peter. We're going to go live out on the water.
8:30.
8:30, yes.
And they're still fighting the fish. This is unprecedented right here, folks, live. Coming at you. This man still looks like he has his wits about him. You got to like that. He's obviously using technique, but right now it's kind of a stalemate, or maybe he's losing line. But this is obviously a sea monster, and most likely a big blue marlin.
Doug Reynolds having to take a break. Now, let's explain the whole thing. At 8:30, they caught this fish. They reeled this fish almost all the way to the boat where they make contact with the leader. Right? So they make contact with the leader. Now it's a qualified fish, and that fish decided to go down.
So they know it's a blue marlin, okay? So they've been fighting this fish for 7 hours. They've seen the fish. They know what it is, so they're focused. They're not worried about, oh, maybe it's a tail wrap or a foul wrap, this or that. They're fishing Poor Man's Canyon right now, and he's got to be cramping up. He's got to stay hydrated.
Well,
and that is a big fish. You know, some of those big ones, those jumbos, those 800, 900 pounders, they will sit and bob down in the water as the boat's bobbing up and down, and it is very difficult to get that fish up to the boat when they're that big.
Now, again, this has already been a qualified catch. This was earlier on that catch, so they went ahead and made contact with that leader. The thing is, though, Peter, you said, well, we know it's a blue marlin, but we don't know if it might be tail wrap, because if it came all the way that close, bad things sometimes happen. Is that, you said, that's when it gets kind of that nervous time,
It's
right?
possible, and sometimes they get tail wrapped and you're dragging them backwards, and, you know, they wind up dying because the water's going opposite of the gill flow, the water flow, the oxygen.
Right.
And it's kind of what you used to do with sharks when we were kids. You always knew how to take care of them, and you drag them backwards. You drag a big tuna backwards, then you bring them in the boat. You could see how he's working on this fish on Rochambeau. This is the prelude to a kiss.
Watching him live down there, the lower right portion of your screen. Here's how they know what it is. It's a wicked
You're noticing those splashes, Robbie. We don't see those splashes very often. That is a tail wag. That is a tail wag kicking back and forth, angry and freaking out. That's what that fish is doing. This fish is not launching.
This was 7 hours ago. We're watching it live down at the bottom right, but this is what happened 7 hours ago to the left. So they know what it is, and they're still trying to get it to see if it can reach, 114 inches to bring it back home.
And it's jumping now. I'll tell you what, just as I said it was, and it started to put the show on because TV, you know, these Marlin really like the TV, the cameras. We don't know how zoomed in our cameraman is there, so it's hard to tell if he's zoomed in or not and how big that fish is.
Look at that reeling technique.
Yeah.
He said whatever it takes, and this is live. He's making a lot of ground. I don't know if this is good, is it, Peter?
Yeah, he still has a bend in the rod. You can still see a bend in the rod. Captain's going forward. They're bumping forward. You can see some whitewash.
So he's taking up slack at this pace.
I believe
way
so.
Too easy.
I believe so.
He was struggling for the longest time. Again, we're watching live on the bottom right. Everything else that happened in the big picture happened earlier today to show us that it was a blue Marlin. But he went from making no ground. Well, there's still a little struggle in there.
You can see the other anglers behind him. Okay, well, on the big screen here, you know, they do touch the leader. They do get a legal blue Marlin catch and release by touching that leader. But this is a moment where you just say, hey, should we fight this for the rest of the day and it's possibly 114 and we bring it to the scales and become millionaires? Or do we just let it go and go for another fish and just try to win the tournament with releases? They've decided to continue to fight and fight and fight.
Well, didn't we see this? We saw them, and it was this team, or it was Polarizer. At the end of the day, caught one, right? And then you could fight it through the afternoon. If it's a blue Marlin, you could fight it through the night. They don't have to be back till I think 12:15 in the morning tonight, you know. But with this happening in the start of the day, this is either making or breaking their day. Their day's done. We know that now.
Yeah.
Their time's expired in about 4 minutes. And
he's probably got some wicked blisters right now on his hands, you know, and wearing gloves, you know. The glove can even give you more of a blister sometimes, you know.
That could be your new boat name, Wicked Blista.
Here comes the leader up on the big screen there. You can see it up on the right-hand corner. You see kind of a loop up there.
You didn't like my Wicked Blister boat name?
Sorry, I was looking at the leader. It's a Wicked Blister, yeah.
That sounds like one up there in the
it's a Wicked Pissa, Wicked Blista, Twisted Sista. Rice and Beans didn't miss her.
Back to live after that qualified catch. We've got correspondents on the water today. Look at this. We got a 4-box with our ladies are out there. Again, Michelle, Crystal, and Katie are all on 3 different boats and watching the magic happen, and they must bring a little lady luck to some of our boats as well.
Yeah, you can see them all sitting comfortably, and that's because they want to stay out of the way. They're all anglers. They all love fishing, but they know they don't want to get in the way of this big money tournament. Otherwise, they'd be down there in the pit, deploying baits, doing what they love to fish. I mean, they absolutely love it. But, you know, when you're a guest and you chill back, you sit back and let everybody do the work. That's been practicing, has been teamed up for a long time.
We know what Katie's on Taylor Jean. I remember that.
Michelle's on T0.
That leaves Crystal would be on Polarizer? Probably Polarizer.
She is on Polarizer, that's correct. They are getting them, Robbie. They're getting them here. The White Marlin Open.
They're going to be parking them in a minute.
We're having a good time. We're going to be seeing them rolling through at about 5, 6 o'clock.
In Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua. We're proud, passionate, and full of life. On our island, adventure finds you. Strangers aren't strangers for long. The size of the audience doesn't change the beauty of the music, and we celebrate every last ray of sun. Live Boricua.
Salt life. the official sunglass partner of the Sport Fishing Championship.
Are you ready for the ultimate luxury fishing experience? Join the Sport Fishing Championship talent on the SFC Experience, where you'll explore incredible fisheries and enjoy world-class hospitality from diverse cultures and SFC partner locations. With the SFC Experience, you'll create unforgettable memories with friends, families, or colleagues. Book your trip today and embark on the adventure of a lifetime with the SFC Experience.
Every day on the water is a blank canvas. You can reach new waters and ride endless waves. So drop the hammer or the anchor and let adventure be your guide. Mercury engines are made for exploring. So are you. Go boldly.
Whether you like to ride the wind, find your secret cove, or reel them in. Plot your paradise with GPS Map Series from Garmin.
When you're serious, you are as excited to wake up for a 4 a.m. fishing trip as you were when you were a kid. It means winning 3 World Sailfish Championships. It means you know what you need and what you don't. Being serious means seeking out the ultimate fishing machine, which is what Peter Miller has found in the unmatched handling, speed, and comfort of an Invincible.
SFC coverage of the White Marlin Open from Ocean City, Maryland is sponsored by Garmin, Invincible Boats, Barbecue Guys, and by SFC Experience.
When I heard that Barbecue Guys mention, it made me think about all the tuna that's to be had here and all of the stuff being donated to the Maryland food banks. All this food that they do bring in these fish do not go to waste.
They have beautiful grills. Nice thing about this area, you don't use a lot of propane because those tunas are just seared perfectly and raw in the middle.
Scales waiting for the boats to come in today over there at the weigh-in station, Harbor Island Marine. Will one of these teams bring one in like Taylor Jean? Taylor Jean is not my lover. Oh, he's just a...
Okay, Robbie, let's get back to business. Michael Jackson would appreciate that, but we have
appreciate if we stop.
13 white marlin for Taylor Jean and a blue. When they came down the pipe the other day, boy, flying 6 flags, 5 whites and a blue, they got a standing O. That's ovation. For those of you who don't know O.
I knew it was.
I know you know O.
Yeah, it was cool, though, because we were standing basically the spot we're at now, and the fans were just, that's the first time. We thought it was a slow day until they come across.
They're on a fish right now, working it.
Out there somewhere.
There it is. It's on the surface, kind of busting waves there, busting water.
Yeah, they're unofficially in the lead right now in the Sport Fishing Championship with 1,975 points. A total of 14 catches, 14 billfish so far in the White Marlin Open. And by the way, lines out of the water about 3 minutes ago. So if somebody's hooked up right now as we speak, they can fight that fish. But if you're not hooked up, lines have to be out of the water.
That's right. The party's over at that point. You just got to hope for the best. And again, there's so many opportunities to win a division, to win some money, to win some of the money you put in and then some by catching something very simple. Not trying to slay a dragon, not trying to kill it with 20 white marlin. Maybe you just catch a certain size tuna or wahoo or mahi and you're walking home with a big paycheck. There's something for everybody at the White Marlin Open here in Ocean City, Maryland.
Nice.
That's a nice white. That is a good size white right there.
Again, one that you could bring in would have to be, what, 70 inches. They're going to take a good look at it.
No one's brought one in yet. You know, a lot of people were kind of waiting for that moment. There's about 380 boats that went out today for the final day. You know, a lot took their lay days, so there's still a ton of boats out there today. They're finishing up. Oof, that Marlin's going ballistic. Popped him off, got that 125.
It's a solid catch. That's a solid release, and we got it for you here on the Sport Fishing Championship. What's happening out on the water? I talk about those 14 fish. We talk about our roving correspondent, Katie Sawyer, on board the Taylor Jean with one of the anglers, one of the members of Taylor Jean, Jarrett Birch.
On the Taylor Jean, approximately 85 miles from Ocean City, the final day of the 50th White Marlin Open. The spread we're pulling is dynamic. I'm here with mate Jarrett Birch. Jarrett, what are we pulling today?
So we have a 4 dink bait spread, 4 dink baits, two teasers. We're doing a squid chain and a lure. And then we do 2 lures in our short riggers, and we have a ballyhoo dredge and an artificial mud flap dredge.
So what have we seen fish show up on so far today?
So we've seen, three of our fish come to a blue squid chain, and we've been able to hook them on the flat line, and we've seen 4. We had 1 come to a long rigger, and we got that one as well. So we're 4 for 4 today, which is always a good ratio.
What kind of challenges have you had in the cockpit today?
We've had bad grass today, so we have to treat everything like a bite, so our flat lines keep popping out, but you never know if it's grass or a fish. We did have one where it popped out, we thought it was grass, and sure enough, a white marlin came up jumping, so that's always a good little bonus.
It's definitely an exciting bonus for the viewer. If you don't know what grass is, it's sargassum seaweed. It's floating, it's spread out, it catches the bait, and if it catches the bait, it pulls drag, and we have to treat everything like a bite. That's right.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Jarrett. We'll see you in a little bit.
What Katie brings up there and what he brought up there, when the weed hits the bait and you're walking on pins and needles and you're waiting for that bite and everything's on the line, believe me, you're going to think that's a bite, and you've got to treat it like that because they may very well be a bite. So yeah, that's good. That's good looking out.
He thought he had grass on the line, and instead he had a fish on the line, and it paid off for Taylor Jean. But again, that ratio, as we're looking at C Student and what they've been doing, Ian McGarity, a lot of McGarity's on that boat. They've been making some big strides today. This is a Texas team, I believe, out of Houston.
Looks like they got a nice little white there, right at the transom. They got their 125 for C Student. Fishing those canyons. He's got the big tackle out there ready. Was ready for the big boys.
Again, I'd like to thank them for giving us this footage.
You heard you heard about the lures mix and the dead bait mix and the mud flat mix, but we're going to see another Marlin from C Student momentarily because they were in the spot, and those fish definitely school up.
Yeah, coming into this day, on day number 1, Keeley caught a white, Ian caught a white, and Keeley caught a blue on day number 3. And day 5 working well for him too. So again, Keeley with 3 catches in the White Marlin Open, that's solid.
And you see how it calmed down out there from 3 days ago. Boy, that's a big difference, blowing 60 to 80 for overnight.
Oh, get the bath.
Yeah, it's not too much of a bath.
You'll take it. You'll take it. Oh,
yeah.
You did see the full effect. I mean, that's no Dominican, drop them back in the water kind of deal, but they filled it up pretty quick.
Once you get that release and he pops off, time to drop him back in.
So again, another catch, another release for C Student, the Texas team that we've seen before. I remember seeing them at Bisbee's doing well this past October. Hope to see them in the Sport Fishing Championship fighting for a Gulf title in 2024. Let's make our move over to Team Polarizer, the Atlantic leaders after 3 second-place finishes.
So not only did we just wrap up the White Marlin Open, we want to congratulate Team Polarizer as the champions of our SFC Atlantic Division. Congratulations, you guys.
Oh, I'm hit.
It was really awesome. That was.
Hey guys.
High five, guys. High five.
Come on.
Sound like a cannon went off at her, the back behind her there.
I'm jealous, Robbie. She's standing there with the boys from Polarizer popping champagne out on those Marlin rich waters. Boy, I am a little envious. Congratulations to Team Polarizer. That is work well done. 2023 SFC Atlantic Division champions worth $100,000.
Yeah, George and crew had a tremendous year. We saw them kick off the season at Salt Lake Blue Water Tournament down in St. Augustine, Florida. They had 3 second-place finishes, and honestly, 2 of those were ties that they lost the tiebreaker. They were very close to having 3 wins this year. Tying quantified who won the Gulf.
They've been showing up everywhere. They've been fishing up the entire coast from Atlantic City all the way up to the North Atlantic or the Mid-Atlantic. They're doing work, and they're not afraid to run and fish open waters and new waters.
Getting a lot of coverage, a lot of advertisement for Viking boats in the South Jersey yacht sales. Taylor Jean is leading this. Speaking of South Jersey yacht sales, that's where they're based out of, Peter. So they're out in front unofficially right now, a 50-point advantage. Again, these are Sport Fishing Championship points. The White Marlin Open go off a little bit different point structure, but for the most part, at least in the top 20, all of our points add up to theirs pretty much the same way. So Taylor Jean looking good. We know what they got, Peter. Let's do it at the top of the hour on CBS Sports Network.
The cream is rising to the top, guys. You got to follow us. 4 p.m. CBS Sports. We're going live for 2 hours. Follow us here.
I just saw you and CC Sabathia on your Instagram.
On my Instagram, Peter Miller Fishing.
Follow
That's
that
right.
too.